there's 4 types of luck. There's dumb luck, right? You just win the lottery. There's luck by expertise. It's like you get so deep in an area that you can see around corners, basically. There's kind of a uniqueness luck where you're deep in a couple of different areas, and so you happen to be at the center of a bunch of things, and so you can see something very specific where those things cross. And then there's what they call luck by movement. And luck by movement is, you're not going to get lucky sitting on the couch. The culture here is, it's rude not to say hello. It's rude not to introduce yourself if you haven't met somebody before. The whole point is to get to know the other members. I'm curating, they're all amazing people. How can I help those folks connect and help each other in both business and their personal lives? It doesn't need to be a grand plan, right? It doesn't need to have some insurmountable thing. Like these little moments that really matter to people's businesses and people's lives I get a huge joy out of that. My business likes to be all around helping entrepreneurs, and this is a big part of it. I mean, I have an advising practice outside of this. I do things outside of Red Fridge, but this is really becoming the kind of hub for all the stuff I do around entrepreneurship.
We're at the Red Fridge Society. Want to tell us a little bit about how founders feel when they step in?
Yeah, sounds good. Well, I mean, first of all, we'll do the quick intro out here, and then we'll go in the air conditioning because it is Texas in summer. So first of all, we're perfectly located in Austin. We're between 5th and 6th Street, just west of Lamar. So you don't have to deal with downtown traffic. And we're in the old West Austin neighborhood, nestled a bunch of old 1920s houses. So that kind of sets the vibe right there, right? It's like you feel like you're walking into somebody's house, and you have that kind of emotion that it's something a little bit different. No big signs. This is kind of the extent of our signage. We're really kind of pushing that kind of secret society. You have to know we're here to know. And if you know, you know. So.
Well, let's go ahead.
Let's do it. All right. Welcome to the Red Fridge Society. So a little bit about the house, because the house really is kind of the center point of our community. So this is a 1921 out of the Sears catalog Craftsman house. The floors are original. The subfloors are original when we get into the hallways. When I bought this 17 years ago, it had the original cloth wiring that was running the lights, and the house had cedar trunks with bark on them that was actually holding up the foundation. So it is a wonderful labor of love to get this kind of back into the condition that it is today. So I ran my startup Square Root. We were an enterprise software company in the auto industry, doing analytics, not terribly exciting. But the one thing we were really known for was our culture. So we started off with this house. As we grew, I rented the house next door. And then as we grew, I rented 3 other houses on this side and then another one on this side. So we ended up having 6 1921 houses all in a row. That was our little campus. We got written up in Fortune magazine as their second best place to work. One of my prouder moments. We do a ton of founder content here. And my philosophy around events is kind of, they need to have 3 things. The first is community. So I really do kind of screen folks that they're legit founders. So we have, founders, but, both early founders and accomplished founders. And then I always like to have some sort of educational content. So that could, it's a very light lift on educational content. We do a lot, a buddy of mine's a sommelier, so we do a lot of kind of wine tasting kind of content. We're doing a wine and watch collecting where some of the big watch collectors in Austin are going to come and talk about their collections and why they got into it. I do coffee tastings where we teach people how to use some of the more esoteric coffee devices that we have. We bring in founders to talk about the non-alcoholic industry, around a non-alcoholic bar. So lots of kind of interesting content. So if you get the right people and the right content, and then that builds the community. So this is more of our boardroom, conference room. If you think of the different use cases here, about 1/3 of our members are really the get out of their house a couple days a week, come and grab a floating desk and have a coffee. Another 1/3 really use this as the meeting space. And everyone's favorite conference room is a small bookable lounge. You can book this for a private coffee meeting or a drink. We've got our vinyl and our chessboard, which is many rivalries, including between Abeer and I, are coming up. And yeah, this is just a place to kind of come and relax and have a great conversation. And then really the only changes we made to the house at all were we kind of built out some of these little Zoom rooms. So we have some little, private rooms where people can jump in, take a call, have a camera and a mic and everything, all set up. They're all soundproof. Then we sacrificed our middle one with a crazy Japanese massage chair that is one of our favorite features for our members. You can come in, get a little red light therapy, a 20-minute massage. We haven't been in one of these like chairs in the last 5 years. They're nuts. They lay you down, they twist you. They're a ton of fun and very relaxing. Highly recommend. We happen to have our very first member that we ever had at the Red Fridge Society, Philip, is working out here today. So yeah, lots happened in the 2 years since you joined. You've had a baby and a lot of craziness. So yeah, give us a favorite memory or two from the last 2 years.
Yeah, I would have to say number one is winning the poker tournament. Won a couple $1,000 and got myself some new golf clubs. So that was great. But I would say two is just the general vibe with the Red Fridge. I was really looking for something a little bit different than a WeWork or something really corporate. And so I think the number two is probably just the people and the experience here.
Yeah, it's great. And how's it evolved? It was almost a different concept when I started 2 years ago. Like how's it evolved over the 2 years you've been here?
I think like when I first joined, I was really looking at this as a place to work. And I think over time, it's really evolved in more of like a place to hang out and connect with other founders and people in Austin.
All right. So before we get into details, let's talk about Red Fridge. When we say the name Red Fridge, what comes to your mind?
Well, the Red Fridge. Yeah. So the question we always get is why Red Fridge, right? Why is that? And I had this house for 15 years from my previous company, Square Root, and after I sold and the earnout was over and got this house back with all the kind of cool culture that I built in my company, I was trying to figure out what to do with it and brainstorming ideas for this kind of founders club, founders co-working space with my teenage daughters 2 summers ago, almost exactly 2 years ago. And so the first instinct was, let's talk about, it's in an old house. It's an old craftsman house. So should we call it, the craftsman house or the founder craftsman or something around that? But that's basically a bar on Rainy Street, right? Old beer place in a bar and trades. Or can you do the bungalow? Because it's an old California bungalow. No, bungalow, also a bar on Rainy Street. So we quickly figured out that anything that was actually descriptive of an old house or a space like that was both not very unique and also taken. And so then if we're not going to do something descriptive of the space, how can we, have something that's just fun, right? So we kind of move more towards that direction. And when I bought this house 16 years ago now, the first piece of furniture that we bought was this Red Fridge, because we actually, as you'll see on the tour, we tore out the old kitchen and made it more office space. So we knew we needed to have a refrigerator for the team, but there was nowhere to put it. So the only place to put it was going to be literally the first thing you saw when you walked in the front door. So like if you're going to have a refrigerator as the first thing you see when you walk in the front door, it better be badass. So we got this kind of antiqued old fridge, which 17 years ago these weren't very trendy, so it was kind of hard to find. And then that became a cornerstone for every customer visit that came down. And we sold to these Fortune 500 customers. And so walking into this space with the beer tap, with the fridge, was always something that they remarked on. We got to come back and visit the fridge, and it kind of stuck as a cultural touchstone. So we thought, we're going with a 1920s. This is a 1921 house. We got a 1921 vibe. So how do we, kind of take that all and turn it into kind of a fun secret society type of brand that we can just be fun with, and that's how the Red Fridge Society was born.
Society. I mean, there's a lot of obviously co-working spaces out there, networking spaces out there. How would you sort of different? Obviously, this is called the Red Fridge Society. Why that word, and how would you describe Red Fridge without using networking or co-working? Yeah,
because it really isn't. I think of it more, and another word that's overused these days, more of a community, right? So I was a pretty good businessman. I was great at building culture. And so my company, Square Root, was recognized in Fortune magazine as the second best place to work in the country. We got a 2-page feature because we had this kind of amazing culture in all these old houses. And so I had this like weird knack for building culture. And so now when I think about Red Fridge Society, it's really about, can we create a space where it's truly founders. When founders come together, it's an environment where they feel like they can help each other, they can help each other move forward, they can manifest their own luck, manifest serendipity is our primary value here. And so that's a combination of both the space and the curation of the people in the space, but also the culture around the space. And the culture here is, it's rude not to say hello. It's rude not to introduce yourself if you haven't met somebody before. The whole point is to get to know the other members. I'm curating, they're all amazing people. How can I help those folks connect and help each other in both business and their personal lives? So it's a very, very different thing. Most places are trying to have hundreds or thousands of members. In the case of Soho House, I'm trying to have 50 to 100 of close-knit people that all know each other and they're all kind of on the journey together.
And let's talk about like the people here. Is there a pattern of people that thrive here? Like when you're curating these people, how do you choose? What are you looking for?
Yeah, so the interesting, I really broadened the aperture on this place. The rest of my life's been enterprise software for the last 35 years, and so that's I didn't want to make it just a particular type of founder. So when we think about founders, it really is everything. We have CPG founders, we have health tech founders, finance founders, fintech. We have lawyers and real estate developers. So it really is kind of everything, because you do get more serendipity when you have this very, very broad set of perspectives and very broad set of people. And so it started with that. I really did want to make it diverse, both in all types of industries, but also gender and race. And so we really have a place that's a melting pot of perspectives to kind of help each other go forward. And then the unique thing about this place a little bit, and it really started mainly because it's small, it's 2,000 square feet, is it's not going to be a huge community. So I have to target something. I can't be super broad about everything. And so I really targeted the more experienced founder set. There's a lot of fantastic things in Austin for the early founders, a lot of communities, Fiesta, Capital Factory, but there really isn't anything that was really focused on founders that are farther along the journey, where they're in a room of peers, because I get a lot of feedback from those founders that they love going to those type of events, but they can be a little bit exhausting because it's always people asking them for mentorship, asking them for advice. And if I'm building a day-to-day place where founders want to come, I want them to feel like this is a place where they can come be themselves and both give to the community, but also get a lot back from the community as well. So this is kind of the more accomplished founder community is really the part I'm trying to carve out. But other than that, it's a very broad definition of founder.
Talk me about engineering luck, which is a core value here. How do you do that with what were the design choices that you took where you felt like, okay, this is building that serendipity concept?
Yeah, and so and it really was. I read this article a few years ago that really stuck with me, and this whole concept was kind of based around that. And it was basically this. You can go look up. It's like the 4 types of luck, and I'll screw up the article, but roughly it's like there's 4 types of luck. There's dumb luck, right? You just win the lottery. There's luck by expertise. It's like you get so deep in an area that you can see around corners, basically. There's kind of a uniqueness luck where you're deep in a couple of different areas, and so you happen to be at the center of a bunch of things, and so you can see something very specific where those things cross. And then there's what they call luck by movement. And luck by movement is you're not going to get lucky sitting on the couch, but if you actually get up and you go to the thing, whatever the thing is, there's a chance you'll bump into somebody. You're basically increasing the surface area of how lucky things can happen to you just by getting out of your house, right? And when you think of the 4 types of luck, you really can't do much day to day about those first 3, right? The first one's dumb luck, so just gotta, just has to happen. The other 2 take time and expertise, but you can do luck by movement. You can get out in the world and interact. So that was really the concept of this when I was kind of putting it together, both how I curate people, but also really it goes back to the culture here. It goes back to that culture of it's rude not to say hello. It's rude not to introduce yourself. And so people wouldn't walk into most other, social environments or co-work environments, sit down on the couch next to somebody and introduce themselves. It'd be weird. Whereas here, it literally is like, I drill it into people that is what you do here. So it's really, that's the simple hack. If you get the right people and that culture of we're all here to kind of get to know each other and to help along this like difficult journey of entrepreneurship, I mean, the magic just kind of happens, right? These are all folks that are fairly influential. So the luck and the value of those conversations, it just kind of happens organically.
And specific to like the way this is structured, you know, how where would you say is like the place where is your favorite part, like where most of the luck sort of happens?
Yeah, so I mean, my desk is we is in this main room for a reason. They're all floating desks, but it's the one I typically use because it's really just this. If you're sitting in this main living area, you're basically asking for somebody to stop and have a coffee or a drink if it's the afternoon, and you're inviting that kind of serendipitous connection. And I'm the person that just kind of sits in the back of the room, and I get to hear it all the time, right? I mean, it really is. It's crazy. I mean, like a member coming here for the first time, meeting a couple of people, and 20 minutes later, one of the two is walking out with an introduction that they've been looking for 6 months. Right? It's just the craziest thing when you just are here all the time listening to it, and it's so my favorite thing is just being a fly on the wall for all the serendipitous connections that are happening here every day, which is a lot of fun.
Let's go back to the history of this again, just for a little bit. Obviously, like when you exited your business and kind of time to unwind, or you're good, or start your next venture. What was it that stuck with you? Sort of like that. I don't know, that the problem that you saw in the community where you felt like, okay, I want to create Redford Society. Like, what was that one moment?
Yeah, and I'll it started off selfish. So let me not try to say that I was like, trying to save the world here. I just, my company journey was 17 years, 15 years running the company, 2-year earnout. I had my teenage daughters at the time were 12 and 13. And a few years left with them in the house, and I was kind of really thinking about what do I want the next chapter of my life. I'm 52, I was 50 at the time, and so I was really kind of going through how do I want to structure my life. I made enough off the exit where I don't have to work again. I'm not flying around private jets, but my favorite term for that is post-economic. So I don't have to. Money wasn't the primary factor for what I wanted to do next, and I kind of broke it down, and there were 3 things I wanted out of my next career move. The first was I wanted 100% control of my time. Doesn't mean I don't want to work hard, but I want to choose when I work hard. I want to choose what I'm doing. So I can be at every kid activity. I can take a 5-week vacation with the family during the summer, and there's no kind of outside constraint that I'm basically creating for myself with my next job to go and do that. So that was the first big thing. The second thing is it had to be something I was truly mission driven about, and something I really enjoyed. And when I really kind of sat down and thought about that, for me, it's how do I spend my free time? It's entrepreneurship. I've been mentoring around town for years and years and years. I am an EO and YPO and all these different organizations. So I love hanging out with entrepreneurs and helping them through the journey. I get a lot of joy out of that. And for me, it is very mission driven. I think it's one of the larger ways I personally could really help the Austin community is to take my 30 years of experience in entrepreneurship and help other entrepreneurs on the journey. So it's very mission driven for me. And the third was I'm less worried about big pops and equity, but it'd be nice to have a little bit of cash flow, because it's weird after being cash flow positive in my life for the last 30 years to suddenly have money going one way very quickly, which is away. So get a little cash flow and not so much on having big equity plays. So when I put those 3 things together, and then I had this unique asset of this house. That was really the inkling for the Redford Society. It was like this could be something that I would enjoy doing, that would also give back. I advise startups. It can be kind of a hub for that as well. I'll be in the middle, really interesting information flow and people flow in Austin, and it just seemed like a lot of fun for me. So that's where it started. It started with me, and then this kind of came out of that. This is now my passion, and down to ridiculously curating the ice cubes that we have to the beverage and snack selection, right? So it's a passion for me, and it kind of all starts there.
So and I want to kind of get into a day in the life of an entrepreneur here, but I want to preface that by asking, how do you engineer that experience for entrepreneurs to create that culture of sort of success and prosperity for them, serendipity, and essentially, make them feel at home or part of a bigger community? Like, how do you do that as the sort of orchestra?
Yeah, so the good news is a small community, right? So we're about 45 now. I think we'll probably end up 80 to 100, just kind of based off usage patterns that I see about it. So at that size, I'm literally just personally doing it. right? I get to know everyone that's a member here very well, understand where they are in their journey, both personally and professionally, where they might want intros to other folks. And I see that as my job is to make sure that every member that comes in here meets the people they need to meet and has the experience they need to have. So it kind of starts there. And so since I can kind of like hand-to-hand combat manage that actually works very well. And I think it will scale to that 100 people. So it's not it's a nice thing about not like building a real company is I'm not worried about scale. I'm not opening 10 of these. This isn't about, the metric isn't, how quickly can I get, thousands of members. It's all about how can I create the culture and the environment I want. And it's going to be a manageable size where I can just kind of go through and do that. So it starts there. And then the rest of it's just the space is very curated for it, right? It's, there's three ways people use the space. I guess there's a small fourth one. There's, grab a floating desk. And so folks come here to do their creative days and crank and get some work done. There's 4 conference rooms, so people can take their coffee meetings here, their drink meetings here, their team meetings here. So that brings a lot of interesting people that aren't members through the space kind of on a rotating basis for meetings and makes it vibrant. And then there's the social aspect where 24/7, folks can come, bring guests here, just kind of hang out, store their own wine, store their own alcohol, use our beverages if they want. And then I throw a ton of events that bring a second layer of entrepreneurs into the space that aren't members. That's fun for everyone to interact with, kind of making that community bigger. And then members can throw their own events here too. And often which times they're inviting the members to, come in and join in on the events they're throwing, which is fun. So I'm more and more as the membership grows, the event calendar is actually being run by the members, not by me, which is fun.
So it's going to be 2 years, I think next month.
Yeah, it's coming up on 2 years.
Yeah. Can you tell me some experiences that you've had where you felt like this is what I wanted to create?
Yeah, it goes back for me. It goes back to these little moments, right? There's we've thrown some just amazing events and around all kinds of things that I enjoy. Wine, non-alcoholic beverages, poker, health and wellness. We throw some amazing events, and those are all kind of notable of themselves. But most of the moments I've enjoyed are 2 or 3 people sitting around on a couch. Very randomly, whoever happens to be in that day, having some conversation, either just about some waxing poetic on something philosophical, or really digging into an issue that they're having in their business. Right, this is the type of place where when you come and you sit down, you're like, oh, this thing just happened. Everybody leans in. It's like, oh, tell me more. Well, why didn't you do this? Or have you thought about that? And I know this person. And so those little moments, I think, encapsulate what I'm trying to accomplish with this place more than anything.
So, do you find this place to be uniquely Austin, or do you feel like this could have worked anywhere?
I think this is probably the most uniquely Austin founder space. Just we're in a 1921 house. It's the vibe is very rising tide lifts all ship, which I think is also very Austin. This isn't the hacker house from Silicon Valley, the TV show, right, where it's all around trying to get some startups in here that are all going to take equity and grow. This is really about creating community. So I do think it is a uniquely Austin space. But I think especially in this post-COVID world we have, where many founders have remote companies, or even the larger companies have gotten rid of their office space and don't go in day to day, that there's a huge need for in-person community. And I don't think it's unique to the entrepreneur space. I think it's whatever circle, whatever thing you care about, I think in-person community is going to be just very necessary, and you're going to seeing these kind of club concepts popping up all over the US and all over the world, because backing up a second, I'd never actually heard the word third space until I created this, which is weird. I should have. Starbucks was trying to be everybody's third place. You got home and work, and then you have your third place. And I was thinking about it when somebody said, "Oh, so you're designing a third place," and I was like, "Well, the weird thing now is there's no second place, right? Most people are like home and work just became the same place." And so folks just really need a way to escape out of their homes and interact with somebody, whatever it is, right? Running club or founders clubs, or a product meetup, whatever it is. I really feel there's this huge need for people to meet up in person, and there's this backlash against everything being online. So I think generally you're going to see these things pop up everywhere. I think I've been my 30-year anniversary in Austin was last week, and so I think I am probably uniquely Austin at this point, and this place is uniquely Austin. But the concept is ready for prime time anywhere.
So where's the next fridge going to be?
Everybody keeps asking. So, as I said before, my metric isn't to go to this. Like I share the model, what's working, what's not, with anyone who's thinking about starting some sort of membership club. Because it's a very unique model compared to other folks. Because I don't have a desire to go and do this. This is fun for me because it's small. As soon as I start to, turn it into some sort of growth engine, start measuring myself on those type of metrics, then it stops being fun, right? So this is a labor of love, not the next big idea. I think it is a big idea, but it's a big idea for the 100 people that are going to be members here, not for me going and creating an empire.
So talk to me about a new member coming in. How can they use this place the best way possible for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the when I tell everyone, it goes back to luck by movement. Just show up and the magic happens, right? So just use the space, right? Use it, to just be around. I tell people, you have to hammer calls all day. I mean, we have Zoom rooms you can do that in, but that's not a great use of this space. So it's really the days where you've got some time blocked to kind of work on creative things or write or do something like that. That's a great day to come here, sit here with a cup of coffee, have a conversation, get some work done. So showing up is thing one. And that's true of both just being in the space as well as the events we have attract just a really wide array of founders here, not just the members, but other founders. And so coming to a few events and just, swimming in that sea of creativity and innovation that are the type of folks that hang out here is you just see these kind of wonderful connections happen there too. So that's really the only thing is just show up and grab your hat as a member. Only members get hats and wear it around town and be a proud member of the fridge.
I feel like this place is an extension of your personality. Like you're kind of structured around the way you wanted to create culture. And that started with the company that you ran for a while. How did you, because I know there were several houses, like how did you decide this was the one that you wanted to keep?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's the only one I own, so that's a key fact in that. But so over the time of Square Root, we when I sold, we had 6 in a row. So we had 2 on this side and 3 on this side on 6th Street. But over the years, over the 15 years that we were kind of working on the concept, we had 3 or 4 other ones, around the neighborhood as we found closer once we moved in. So I have worked out of 9 houses within a block of here over the last 15 years. And there was always something special about this one, right? And it's one I hate to get all woo and talk about vibe, but everybody talks about there was just something about the vibe of this house. It's lived a good life. And it just really, it's a place where people feel like they can connect very quickly. And so come in and it's just very relaxing and disarming. So whether it's a customer or a recruit or a partnership meeting or just coming with friends, there's almost this exhale when people walk in. It's just a very comfortable place. And I feel like it drives relationships and it drives connectivity because of that. And so there's always something about this vibe. So when I sold the company, I rented the other 5. So those just kind of went away. The company terminated the leases after about a year and a half. But I was landlord of this one because I owned this one personally, so I got this one back. And I had lots of people that asked me, hey, can I rent it? It's like a fantastic space for all these different concepts. And I looked at it and actually had a startup in here for about 4 months. And then they wanted to move out because it was 2022 and the world was collapsing and venture and they didn't have any money. And I was more than happy to say, yes, actually, I will let you break the lease because I missed it. I hadn't been using the space for 6 months and I'd spent 15 years building my company here and I really just love the house. So there's just the house has the right vibe.
So let's get reflective here a little bit. What is that one thing that Red Fridge has taught you about yourself as a founder?
I am breaking every rule of productivity that you could. I'm a big listener to all the podcasts and all the ones we all are supposed to listen to and all the things we're supposed to do. And I'm personally washing wine glasses and making branded lemon lime ice cubes here. And but what I realize is I don't mind. Like I don't mind. I enjoy it, right? I enjoy the detail and really dialing things in. And as our fridge agent, our office manager, Kayla starts to burn in more, and she's grabbing more and more hours. She's starting to take some of those things over. But I really don't mind being in like every little detail of this. It really doesn't bother me at all. And I don't. I'm trying to overcome my previous productivity startup founder, how big can we go, how fast can we go, and all that stuff's really stressful, and I'm just trying to be more present for my family and myself, and kind of break a lot of habits that were great and when I was in the wealth building part of my life, and habits that probably aren't so healthy when I'm in the second half of my life, and trying to figure out both how to give back and how to be more present for my kids.
Obviously, like the metric approach towards scale is not something that you want to do with Red Fridge. But what are some aspirations that you have for this place? Let's say 3 years down the road, you're celebrating your 5th anniversary. Like, where do you see, members here, or sort of Red Fridge?
Yeah, so one will be full, whatever that is. Everybody asked me like, what's the number? I was like, I'll know it when I see it, right? From running my company out of all these little small houses. I know what perfect is. Like perfect is like 12 to 15 people in the house at a given time. It's vibrant. You can still grab a desk. There's a conference room available, but there's always somebody that's willing to sit down and have a coffee with you, or me in this case, since that's basically all I do these days. So whether that's 60 members or 100 members, we'll see based on usage patterns and kind of how things go. So I want it to be just vibrant, right? Where people know that when they show up, they're going to have a fantastic conversation. That's really my measurement of how how this place works, on a day-to-day, evening even basis. So that's kind of, and I would call that our core community. We call our everything here is a bad fridge pun. We call our members fridge magnates, like magnets, but magnate. So the magnates are basically the funding members. They pay for things that fund the events and all those. But then we have the second circle that's much larger. Our newsletter's 1,000 folks, most of which are founders now. That come to our founder events, right? So those are people that are, I research each one and make sure they're really a founder, so that our founder events are, very high quality. But a lot of times people that are younger in their career, their founder journeys, that maybe couldn't afford to be a member here, but it's still fun to have those people in the community, and there's a lot of energy that comes from that. And even we've had a lot of mentor relationships happen from our members to, kind of that second ring of the community of the kind of fridge founders, friends of the fridge community. So if I fast forward 5 years, we've got 100 magnates, and we've got a couple thousand friends of the fridge that occasionally interact with us and come to our events and make us a hub for entrepreneurship here in Austin.
Interesting. So let's stay on that topic for a bit. Do you see this place as being kind of the mastermind for the next wave of entrepreneurship here?
I think I am not that egotistical. I'm egotistical, not that egotistical. No, Austin's got a lot of fantastic opportunities for founders here, right? And we're a big city now. There's more than enough to go around. I do think, and I would like to kind of own this, accomplished entrepreneur space, the accomplished founder space, just because I do feel like that's a unique, unique because it's a smaller community and this is a smaller space. So I want to tap into that community. But I think that Austin will continue to grow in all these different directions in entrepreneurship, and it's going to be very vibrant, and there's more than enough room for innovation to happen here. I mean, what Capital Factory is doing, and the defense focus that is happening over there now is a really interesting thing, and that's going to be very innovative and very important for the city. There's lots of other things like Arena Hall and what they're doing with slightly more political content and more think tank oriented, very interesting, and there's a lot of innovation will be coming out of there. And there's 30 more I can name, and it's great. There's space for all those things. Like I said, I'm happy to talk about what I'm doing here and share everything. I just don't feel like there's really competition for any of us, really, because the community is so big and there's so many folks here. There's so many entrepreneurs that are moving here and so many entrepreneurs that are starting out here. There's just more than enough to go around, and that community is still underserved and will be underserved for a long time.
So to me, it seems like Refridge, I mean, yes, you mentioned early on that this was not selfish.
It is selfish.
It is selfish, my bad. But you also kind of it also kind of feels like you're giving back to the community in a way. Sort of curating events, sort of curating the experience for entrepreneurs, helping them sort of scale up. What can members do to be a part of that experience better, sort of, as a whole for Austin, for the extended family of Red Fridge?
Yeah, and again, so there's no hard and fast rules here, right? It's like I'm kicking people out if they don't show up a certain number of events or anything. It's everybody's got their own level of use and value that that they get out of this place, and that's fine. So start with that. But I think it's really showing up. So our values are manifest serendipity. We can create our own luck if we get the right people in. And then the second one is forward together, right? It really is, we're stronger together. If we root for each other and we help where we can. And that's kind of the mentality that I want people to come in here with, which is, hey, you don't have to drop everything and go try to, solve somebody's crisis. But if you're uniquely, position where you can help that person, help, right? But at a minimum, we root for each other. Celebrate wins is our next one. So the entrepreneurship is really hard. So when we have something good happen, or even pretty good happen, let's celebrate that and really enjoy it. We had a member just sell his company last week, and we're doing just a member happy hour with him, which is pretty exciting. So and then the last one is be chill. We share a 100-year-old house and each other's secrets and victories. So respect confidentiality in each other. But so when you really, just by talking about those values and instilling those, if you show up with a mentality of if I have this mentality of how can we go forward together, I can manifest my own serendipity, and the rest of it happens, right? And so what we do see now, like I said, we see members helping each other a lot, stepping in to mentor some of that kind of second ring of friends of the fridge, and that's something they enjoy, right? A lot of our members are older, more, not everyone, but a lot of them are more successful, more advanced in their careers, and a lot of them are kind of entering the same phase I am, which is more of a give back phase, right? So they enjoy the energy of the younger founders, and sometimes things will catch their eye, like our drink robot startup that we have. We have multiple members that have been kind of helping them out, kind of implicitly, as not as official advisors but as mentors, and it's just fun to see that, right? It's fun for everyone.
I do see that the founders here having interesting startups. Do you think that's by choice on your end, or?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe this place kind of hit somebody at a pretty unique time, right? Because it's not a place; it's a place for founders to work. And you can have a meeting with your team here, and you have your offsite with your team here for a day or something like that. That's all fine. But it's not a place for 3 people from your team to come work every day, right? Mm-hmm. It's not that. So it's very unique and very different from other co-working spaces, which once you go from a floating desk to a fixed desk to a conference room to 2 conference rooms. Like, this is my concept is, how many founders can I get in this space to build a community? And if I have their whole teams working here, that number is very small. If I have just the founders working here, it's very large, right? Because everybody's busy. So it has to hit somebody in that kind of right spot of, I'm far enough along where the monthly membership makes sense for me. I need a place to get out of my house and a cool place to take meetings, but I'm not real office space, right? So it just kind of catches the right people at the right time. And so it ends up being a pretty eclectic bunch, which is fantastic.
What's the one thing that excites you the most about the coming year, next year?
Yeah, no, I think this year we're going to fill up, right? So it's been fun to dial in the experience and the brand and the mission, and the first 2 years are kind of figuring out what we wanted to be, because what it's become is very different from what I thought it would be when it started. Now I have a clearer vision of what it's going to be, and this next year kind of makes that happen. So we'll be full, so we'll be much more vibrant, much more valuable for the members, and then the year after that will be, now what, right? Now will be, how do we continue to dial up the experience and work with the members to plug other holes in their lives and their businesses, and make this place even more valuable. So this next year is all about taking the vision that's now in my head and turn it into reality, and that's a lot of fun.
Do you see this? I don't know. This is a question probably shouldn't ask, but do you see?
You're good at this.
Do you see this as part of your legacy?
I think so. I have a personal kind of bucket list item to help 1,000 entrepreneurs. And I think that's my legacy is going to be, helping other entrepreneurs. My business legacy, my personal legacy would be my family. But my business legacy would be all around helping entrepreneurs, and this is a big part of it. I mean, I have an advising practice outside of this. I do things outside of Red Fridge, but this is really becoming the kind of hub for all the stuff I do around entrepreneurship. And so, yeah, it'll be a big part, I think, of my contribution to Austin and the world.
How do you think that could become closer? Like, what's one thing that would make you the happiest, in this experience of yours?
I don't know. It's already kind of working, right? I just kind of love being around here. As my wife will tell you, like I spend probably too much time down here, so part of it's already happening. Like I'm already getting these little bursts of joy when I see the value in somebody getting out of it. I say that you basically have a conversation here in the first few months that'll pay for the first few years, and I just watch for those all the time and seeing those and seeing them happen. And as we have more members, that'll happen more often, and it'll become more and more of a joy to watch and be a part of. And yeah, it's like I said, it doesn't need to be a grand plan, right? It doesn't need to have some insurmountable thing. Like these little moments that really matter to people's businesses and people's lives I get a huge joy out of that. And so I'm just going to try to create more of those collisions and do everything I can to get people in that environment. And that's great. It's fantastic.
Now it's time to send it off. What would you, like welcoming a new member, what would you tell them?
Yeah. This is your space, right? Really, like the idea behind this is it's just a shared space for 100 great people, and treat it with respect and treat the members with respect. And you get an app that unlocks the door, and it's 24/7, and you can kind of use this to entertain guests or your team or whatever you need to do. And yeah, just use the space to its full potential, and you'll get a ton out of it. And yeah, it's easy peasy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.